So let's go to Roman 2. Roman 2, what do they want us to do in Roman 2? What do they want us to do in Roman 2? So in Roman 2, ladies and gentlemen, they want us to compute the weighted marginal cost of capital. In Roman 2, they want us to give them the weighted marginal cost of capital in each of the intervals between the breaks in the MCC schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we get this WMCC? Where we'll be taking the weights multiplied by the cost components. So the very first thing that you need to do is to come and give us the cost. And the first cost which I would want you to give us is the cost of equity. The cost of equity, Kenya, KE. And you guys, being great students of mine, I expect you to come and write for us the cost of equity formula. Cost of equity formula, what do we have there? Cost of equity formula, this being Kenya. We are normally, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, ruled by these district officers and the provincial officers. So you talk of district officer into 1 plus growth rate all over provincial officer minus any flotation cost given. But remember, there are 2 growths. So plus what here? Growth rate plus growth rate. Right? So this is quite an important one. Cost of equity equals district officer, DO into 1 plus growth rate all over PO minus flotation cost plus what here? Plus G. So please leave alone those things of saying DO is district officer. That is just something that I normally use to ensure that my students are able to remember these things even long after finishing their CPAs. I normally meet others outside, they will tell me provincial officer, district officer. So they remember that even many years after they finish CPAs. So our KE is cost of equity. DO is the current dividends per share, which this question has been able to capture very well. The current dividends per share, ladies and gentlemen, the current dividends per share on paragraph 3 after the second table. They have told us the company's corporate tax rate is 30%. The current market price per share is 22. Current market price per share is PO. PO is the current market price per share, which happens to be 22. And then they're telling us there, if you read this very keenly, they're telling us, ladies and gentlemen, that the last dividend on equity shares was paid at 2.2. So this DO equals 2.2 like that. DO equals 2.2. And if you continue reading there further, they have told us that the growth rate expected is 5%. G is 5%. So if that is the case, if G is 5%, could you then kindly come and plug in these figures in this formula for you to be able to give us the cost of equity? Please plug in for you to be able to give us the cost of equity. Plug in for you to come here and give us the cost of equity. Plug in for you to come and give us the cost of equity. So cost of equity, because I've got 2 equity components, I'll begin with the cost of equity retained earnings. Remember, equity components are how many? 2. So we shall begin with cost of equity retained earnings, where we shall take the DO. So the dividends per share, you guys gave me a figure of 2.2 into 1 plus the growth rate, 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 which, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been able to give me a figure of 0.05 all over PO. PO is the current market price per share. Current market price per share is 22. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I appreciate one fact, that the flotation cost of retained earnings is always 0. The flotation cost of retained earnings is always 0 because there is no way you will ever incur any cost to raise what is already in your bank account. No. We always incur an expense to raise like ordinary shares. Not easy to sell ordinary shares. Ordinary shares, you really have to drum a lot of support. To get support, of course, getting new shareholders to come and join into your idea is never an easy thing. You have to do a prospectus, ladies and gentlemen, you have to do so much. You incur cost. But for retained earnings, we know that our flotation cost is supposed to be what here? It's supposed to be 0, plus our growth rate, which is 0.05 like that. Our growth rate, which is 0.05. So if that happens, ladies and gentlemen, then at the end of the day, I need to go just a little bit slowly with my calculator talk of 2.2 times 1.05 all over 22. All over 22. And then you say equals. Once you say equals, you add that 0.05, you will be able, ladies and gentlemen, to give us a cost of equity retained. Of course, whatever you get, you multiply by 100%. And I'm seeing so many of my students saying that the correct answer is supposed to be 15.5. Thank you, and thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, then I can easily go to the second situation where I'll be able to give them the cost of equity of ordinary shares. Cost of equity of ordinary shares, what do I have? Cost of equity ordinary shares. Every other thing will remain the same. Every other thing will remain the same. Have they given me, ladies and gentlemen, have they given me ladies and gentlemen, the flotation cost? Yes. Yes. So what I need to do to get cost of equity of ordinary shares, I will take the DO. The DO is 2.2 into 1.05 because I'll just combine the two. All over 22 minus the flotation cost. Flotation cost from Lucy is 10%. 10% of the current market price per share. 10% of 22. 10% of 22 is 2.2. 2.2. Thank you, and thank you very much. Plus growth rate. The growth rate is 0.05. Growth rate will remain as 0.05. So here you have to be careful with your calculator. You say 2.2 times 1.05 equals, and then you divide by 22 minus 2.2. You have to get the numerator separately, and then you divide. You give us the quotient, and then whatever you get, you say plus 0.05. Somebody is telling me it's supposed to be 16.7%. 16.7%, that is the correct answer. Thank you, and thank you very much. 16.7%. Now, after that, ladies and gentlemen, I expect you now, great students, to go ahead and give me the cost of what here? The cost of debt. So please go ahead and give me the cost of debt. Mentioned there, the cost of debt. So for this particular question, go ahead and give us the cost of who? The cost of debt. The cost of debt. Cost of debt. Cost of debt. So cost of debt. Cost of debt is KD. Could you kindly write for us the cost of debt equation? The cost of debt equation, ladies and gentlemen, cost of debt equation, ladies and gentlemen, we know that cost of debt in this regard will be interest, which has to be tax deductible because interest is tax allowable, all over the market value of debt, which is the same as the price, which is the same as the price of who? Which is the same as the price, which is the same as the price of a bond. The price of a bond, which is the same as the price of a bond. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this particular question of ours, they haven't given us the price, or rather they haven't given us the par value of the bond. They only told us loan amount 0 to 500%, 0 to 500,000, and then they gave us 9%. So let's assume a par value. So par value, let the par value be equal to 1,000. Let the par value be equal to 1,000. And if that is the case, I need them to give them the interest amount. So the interest amount will be the coupon rate if I'm getting the KD of 9%. The coupon rate is 9% multiplied by 1,000. So 9% times 1,000, this will give me what figure, sample? 9% times 1,000, this gives me 90 bob. 90 bob. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here 1 minus taxation. The tax figure that we have in this question, if you look at our third paragraph, the tax figure is 30%. The tax figure is 30%. So 1 minus 30%, this will be 1 minus 0.3. That gives us a 0.7 like that. So thank you. So go ahead and do the plug-in. Go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and give us the interest. So the interest that we have here is 90 multiplied by 0.7, and then everything will be divided by the market value of the debt instrument. Market value of the debt instrument, whenever our examiner is silent about the market value of the debt instrument, we always assume that this debt instrument will sell at par. The debt instrument will sell at par. The debt instrument will sell at par. So the par value becomes our market value, which is 1,000, So we'll come and talk of 90 times 0.7 divided by 1,000, give us a figure. What do we have as the cost of debt for the 9%? Cost of debt for the 9%. Cost of debt for the 9%. What do we have there, ladies and gentlemen? Lucy Nyamu tells me 6.3%. Lucy Nyamu tells me 6.3%. Thank you, and thank you very much. That is KD, 9%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you must have been told this by Mr. Wafula Wanyonyi, my friend. Must have told you, ladies and gentlemen, that whenever you are not given a market value of a bond, and you are not given any flotation costs or a discount, the easiest thing that you should always do, if you're not given flotation cost, you are not given market value of a bond, the easiest thing that you should do is to come and give us the KD by taking the rate of interest given. Multiplied by 1 minus what here, somebody? 1 minus tax. So remember, this is only applicable in situations where we are not given market value of debt, in situations where we are not given flotation cost of a bond. So ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, then the KD of this 9%, it will be the interest rate, which is 9%, times 0.7, which will end up giving us what figure, ladies and gentlemen? So 9% times 0.7, that will give us what figure? 6.3, the same. But remember that this particular formula is not cross-cutting. There is a condition that has to be met. So ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, could you kindly give me the KD of the 11% using the shortcut? KD of 11%. So KD of 11% will come and take the 11% given times 0.7, which gives me 7.7%. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have KD 13%. So KD 13%, we have 13% times 0.7. So 13% times 0.7 will end up giving us a what figure? So we have here 13% of 0.7. This will end up giving us a what figure? This will end up giving us 9.1%. 9.1%. 9.1%. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to allow me to split this particular class of ours into two. Today we reach where we have reached. Tomorrow, I don't know whether tomorrow we could meet at around the same time, say 9:30 or even 8. If you guys don't have any other class tomorrow, happen to be free at 8. So you can finish this question, and then we start straight away with what here? We start straight away with